Well, hello, hello. This is Cindy, author at Growing Your Business Through Referrals and National Days. I'm also an ambassador with National Day Calendar, and I'm the proud founder of National Bucket List Day. So, a little bit about my book. I talk about how to refer people, how to build those relationships, and of course, how to leverage the National Day Calendar. And I was inspired by this amazing gentleman here, Bob Burg. I met him, I want to say about 13, 14 years ago, watching him on a podcast. And here we are all those years later, building rapport. And I'm just so excited to have him here. 30 years experience showing entrepreneurs how to communicate with value and excel in business. Bob Burg in the studio. How are you?
Very well. Thank you. Congratulations on your new book.
Thank you. Thank you. So let's talk a little bit about your backstory and, of course, the premise of The Go Giver.
Yeah, I actually began in broadcasting, first in sports, in radio, and then television. For a couple of years, I was a reporter and then the late night news guy for a very, very small market ABC affiliate television station. I really wasn't very good, though, and it wasn't long before I realized that was not going to be my career. And I like to say graduated into sales.
Wow.
The challenge was that I had never had any formal sales training. And so it was just kind of hit and miss with me. It was see as many people as I could, talk, blah, blah, blah. And that's, of course, not how to effectively sell. It's good to see as many people as you can, but the talk part was not productive. And so I really floundered for the first few months. Then I was in a bookstore one day looking for something, and I found a couple of books on sales, which doesn't sound like a big deal, but 40 years ago, that just wasn't as prevalent as it is now. And the two books happened to be by two of the great icons in the sales space, Zig Ziglar and Tom Hopkins. And I got their
Wow.
books and just began just studying them. I mean, deeply. I just immersed myself in their books and applied the information. And within a few weeks, my sales began to go through the roof, which was very encouraging to me because what it told me was that if you have a methodology, right, if you have a system for doing something, and I personally simply define a system as the process of predictably achieving a goal based on a logical and specific set of how to principles, the key being predictability, right? If it's been proven that by doing A, you'll get the desired result of B, and then you know that all you need to do is A and continue to do A, and you'll get the desired result of B. So I thought that was great. And so I continue to study sales, but the best part was realizing that selling was not just about the how-to aspect, which is important, but that's not
Yeah.
so much what it's about. It's about the personal development aspect. It's building yourself on the inside. Success really begins internally. It manifests outwardly, but it begins in here and in here. And I love that. I mean, I was not a good student in school, barely graduated high school,
Really?
graduated college.
Yeah.
And yeah, so this was my education. This was great. So I was, inspired really into it, eventually worked my way up to sales manager of a company and started sharing with other people what was working for myself and my sales team. And what did they used to say on Seinfeld? Yada, yada, yada. 30 years later, here we are.
Wow. So I'm going to pop off. I'm going to share this broadcast on a few groups. So tell my audience a piece of advice that you received before becoming the Go Giver.
Well, back, I had been in sales for a couple of years, and I'd been, again, doing pretty well. But I went to another company that was selling a very high ticket item, great product, but I started off in a slump and was having trouble getting out of that slump, and I made kind of a rookie mistake, even though I'd been in it more than 1 year. I was still really a sales rookie, and I was focusing so hard when it came to in terms of getting out of the slump. I wasn't focusing on serving my customers and clients, and that wasn't working out very well. And I just couldn't seem to get out of the slump. And the deeper I got into it, the more pressure I put on, and the more difficult it was. And finally, one day I came back to the office with, I guess, a disgusted look on my face. And one of the older people there, he was not in the sales department. He was, I think he was an engineer or something, but, and he was soon to retire. But I think he saw me sort of as Joe in The Go-Giver that would be written 25 years after that, whatever, with John David Mann. Excuse me. He saw me as that kind of young, ambitious, aggressive, up and coming, lots of potential, but really not fulfilling that potential because like Joe in the story, my focus was not on other people. My focus was on myself. And he said, "Berg, can I give you some advice?" And I said, "Please, I absolutely need it." And he said, "If you want to make a lot of money in sales," he said, "don't have making money as your target. Your target," he said, "is serving others. Now, when you hit the target, you'll get a reward, and that reward will come in the form of money, and you can do with that money whatever you choose. But never forget," he said, "the money is simply the reward for hitting the target. It's not the target itself. Your target is serving others."
Servant leadership. And that's one of the things that I learned from you. And I'm so, so grateful for all these years later and finally getting the book out. Because when we first met, that's when I was first starting the book.
Yeah.
And that book actually was about 2 years ago gone. My computer crashed. And so I had to start a whole new book.
Mm.
But I'm glad that happened because this new book is actually even more powerful. So let's talk about the 5 laws that you and John share in the book.
Sure. So they're based on a very simple premise, and the premise is that shifting your focus, and this is really where it all begins, just like years earlier, what my drive-by mentor told me. It's shifting your focus from getting to giving. Now, when we say giving in this context, we simply mean constantly and consistently providing immense value to
Yes.
others. Understanding that doing so is not only a more fulfilling way of conducting business, it's actually the most financially profitable way as well. And not for some um, way out there, woo-woo, magical, mystical reason. Not at all. It actually makes very rational, very logical sense when you're that person who can take your focus off of yourself and place it on serving others, discovering their needs, their wants, their desires, right? When you can move your focus off of yourself and onto helping others to solve their challenges and problems, when you can take your focus off of you and place it on helping to bring another person closer to happiness, people feel good about you. People feel great about you. People want to get to know you. They like you. They trust you. They want to see you succeed. They want to be a part of your business. They want to be a part of your life. They want to be your personal walking ambassador.
I love
And
that. Wow.
yeah, and that's really in a sense what it is. And again, as you said, it's based on 5 what John David Mann, my awesome co-author, what we call the 5 laws of stratospheric success, and those are the laws of value, compensation, influence, authenticity, and receptivity. The law of value is really all about the experience you provide another person, much more than just the intrinsic value of your product or service, which again is important. But your competitors also have pretty much the same product or service, and so you've got to be extra special. You've got to do something different. You've got to provide such an amazing experience for that end user that they just feel great about it, that they feel as though they actually receive much more in value from you than what they paid, while you also make a very healthy profit. In any market based exchange, there should always be 2 profits: the buyer profits and the seller profits, because each of them comes away better off afterwards than they were beforehand. And so it's becoming that additional value, right? It's communicating that excellence, consistency, attention, empathy, and appreciation at every single touch point. with that person from the moment you first meet them, whether it's an inbound call or connection online or outbound or at an event somewhere, through the relationship building process, the follow up, the follow through, the sales process, the referral process. So to the degree, excuse me, that you and your team members can communicate that additional value at every touch point, that's the degree you'll take low price and your competition out of the issue. Remember, when you play the low price game, when you sell on low price, you're a commodity. When you sell on high value, you're a resource. And your goal is to be a trusted resource. Now, law number 2 is the law of compensation. This takes it a step further. This says your income is determined by how many people you serve and how well you serve them. So where law number 1 is all about the magnificent experience that you provide to another person, law number 2 says, hey, that's great, but you've also got to touch people's lives. You've got to be able to impact a whole bunch of people with that value. And so that's why Nicole Martin, the CEO in the story, told Joe, the protege, the law of value represents your potential income. But the second law, the law of compensation, that represents your actual income. So we could say exceptional value plus significant reach equals very high compensation. Law number 3 is the law of influence. And the law of influence says your influence is determined by how abundantly you place other people's interests first. Now, when we say this, Abby, and I think this is very important because it can very easily be misunderstood. When we say place the other person's interests first, we're not in any way saying you should be anyone's doormat
Oh,
or a martyr, right? Or self-sacrificial in any way. Absolutely not at all. It's simply understanding that, as Joe, the protege, learned from several of the mentors in the story, the golden rule of business, of sales, is that all things being equal, or even close to equal, right? All things being equal, people will do business with and refer business to those people they know, like, and trust. And there's no faster, more powerful, or more effective way to elicit those feelings toward you in others than by genuinely moving from that I focus or me focus to that other focus, looking to, as Sam, one of the mentors in the story, advised Joe, make your win all about the other person's win. So that's the law of influence.
wow. So one of the things I talk about in my book is I have a whole chapter on the value of remember. So we all hear know, like, and trust. But how do you feel about know, like, trust, and remember?
Well, I mean, that's such a key. I kind of consider all that part of it, but because I consider that the know part. I mean, they've got to know you, but obviously, if they don't remember you, it doesn't matter that they know you. So,
Yeah.
but that's fine. I mean, that's very, very important. We can never forget that. We can never forget about remembering.
Well, especially after an event, like for me, within 24 hours, I'll send a video text. Hi, this is Cindy. It was really great to meet you. And then I'll schedule one-on-one. And one of the things I like to do is pay it forward to other people. So I'll do a podcast or I'll do a video testimony. What are some of your tips to keep that relationship going?
Well, so this is a very big, and what you do is great, but this is very big, and that's what we call the follow through process.
Hmm.
We like follow through even more than follow up, because to follow up is to, do that next thing, which is great, which is very important. Follow through says you're going to take it to the conclusion, right? And that is a know, like, and trust relationship in the direct business, if that's appropriate, and or referrals. Well, the first things that I do is generally I send a personalized handwritten thank you note.
Yes.
And so, there's very few things these days that has that impact, because even back in the day before email and text and everything, people still rarely did that, and people were remembered. Talk about remembering, the ones that
Yes.
did that were remembered. But nowadays, with everything being online and that being so easy, think about when's the last time you received from someone a handwritten note that just after meeting them said thank you, it was a pleasure meeting you. If I can ever refer business your way, I certainly will. Right. And,
Mhm.
and it makes a big difference with people. But then there's like, as you said, there's the video, there's commenting on people's online posts, there's introducing people to one another appropriately as people want to be introduced.
Mhm.
There's following up with notepads for them. It's following up with information that they may find useful in their life. The whole thing about providing value in the follow through process is discovering what that person would find to be of value, not thinking just what I would find to be of value, because people
Yes.
have their own different likes, dislikes, and things that are meaningful to them.
Well, I've actually had a gratitude business since the 90s. And I'll tell you my story because I don't think I've ever told my story. My mom has always taught me to give somebody a gift to make them smile. And on my 16th birthday, Princess Diana's wedding, I sent her a letter, and Buckingham Palace sent a letter back. And that is where all my gratitude started. And of course, the late, great Joe Girard. He would send cards and gifts just for no reason.
Yeah.
One time it would be, "Hey, I have a great Chevy on the lot, come out." And another time would be, "I heard it's your wife's birthday. I heard it's your son's birthday." So that's where I got all that love for gratitude and sending a little note in the mail. It's really amazing. And it really makes a difference. And it's a lost art.
Yes, it is. Yes, it very much is.
So we have 4 minutes left. Would you like to do any shout outs to any of your assistants or associates?
Well, did you want to go through the last couple laws, or did you want to just do
Sure. Yes.
so real quickly, we'll just do the law. The fourth law of authenticity, says the most valuable gift you have to offer is yourself. In this part of the story, Deborah Davenport learned that, or shared that, all the skills in the world, the sales, technical skills, people skills, all important, very important. But they're also all for naught if you don't come at it from your true, authentic core. But when you do, when you show up as yourself day after day, week after week, month after month, people feel good about you. They feel comfortable with you. They feel safe with you. And they're much more likely to have trust in you, because people crave for consistency. Consistency is a huge part of authenticity. Authenticity, I think, has been really taken out of its real meaning of late, in that it seems now that authenticity seems to be, in many people's minds, the same as just having no boundaries, just saying any crazy whatever thing you want because, oh, it's authentic. And I just, I can't really agree with that. This would be like the person saying, well, I have anger issues and I yell a lot, and if I were to act any differently, that wouldn't be authentic of me. And that, of course, is malarkey. It simply means that person has an authentic problem that he needs to work on, right? In order to become a better, higher, authentic, more effective version of himself. So, I just ask that people don't use the term authenticity as an excuse to not grow, but rather as impetus to move into their highest version of themselves. I define authenticity very simply, and that is acting congruently with your values. And I think we can measure everything we think, feel, say, and do against our values. And if we're acting congruently with them, we're authentic, right? And then the last law, the law of receptivity, says the key to effective giving is to stay open to receiving. And this only means that, it's recognizing that, yeah, you breathe out, you've also got to breathe in, right?
Mhm.
It's not one or the other. We breathe out carbon dioxide, we breathe in oxygen. We breathe out, which is giving, we breathe in, which is receiving, right? It's really, it's two sides of the very same coin. Giving and receiving are not opposite concepts, yet the world around us just absolutely comes at us with so many anti-prosperity messages that it can be very difficult for people to not get almost intimidated. Think, oh, if anybody who's wealthy did it on the backs of others, or was dishonest, or was this. And you hear these things, whether growing up in school, from your friends, uh, teachers, you know, news stories, the movies, television. It's the horrible messages, and so it's really important. By the way, that doesn't mean people don't do wrong things and make money. Of course, but that's not the norm, right? That's the things that make the news. What doesn't make the news is CEO provides great product or service, stands behind it, and treats their employees fairly. That just doesn't sell. What sells is Enron. What sells is the, and so we got to be careful about that and make sure that we're not just blindly buying into those anti-prosperity messages. And instead, we need to be able to allow ourselves to receive when we have given value and it comes to us, right? And so often it does, because it is like breathing out value, breathing in value, breathing out value, breathing in value.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, as far as shout outs, lots of people that I'd love to shout out to, because there's so many great people. My business partner, Kathy Tajanel, who runs, my business. And of course, my awesome co-author of the Go Giver series, John David Mann. And
Yes.
we have Leslie, and we have Brian, and we have Doris, and Estelle, and just so many people on the Shannon, so many people on the team who just do remarkable work that keeps this machine running.
And I want to do a shout out to you, because if I haven't met you all those years ago and built this relationship and been inspired by you, I mean, there's many other people that have inspired me, but this book has literally changed my life. And one more question. The 17th is Random Acts of Kindness Day. What will you do to pay it forward to a complete stranger?
I don't know. I'll do what I try to do and be a good person. I can't give you one thing. It will depend on what happens at the time, and I wouldn't limit it to one day.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna send out a couple gifts just because. And actually today I was on 7 a.m. Western time. Amazing networking event, and I connected 5 people there. So after the meeting, I went into my email and I connected 5 people. So I think that's what I'm going to do as well, just to make a difference and be in servant leadership. And shout out to your website really quick, and we'll close out.
Awesome. Yeah, people can visit Burg, BURG.com, and subscribe to the daily impact email if they'd like.
And thank you so much. I'm going to pop you in the green room if you could hang tight for just 1 minute, and we'll chat for a few. Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
So make sure that you go to burg.com. That's BURG.com. The Go Giver series is amazing. Endless referrals as well. And make sure that you share this broadcast. Actually, if you comment and share and subscribe on my YouTube page, I'll give you a copy of Bob's book. So let's share. And if you're on LinkedIn, make sure you go to Surf City Aloha Marketing. This is Cindy. And I am on hiatus the rest of the month as I have to turn in my book to my publisher. So we'll see you later.